Sweet.
Oh,
Sweet as. You got much? Are you working today? After this?
after I just have a couple of plans, but what did I have? I had a client yesterday, so I have a new client. Oh, and Matt Schlarky actually, he gave
Oh, cool.
a call. I haven't started with him yet, but
Oh, yep.
he just gave a call yesterday. But I had a new client yesterday. He's trying to wait for a kickboxing fight.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's over the next 6 weeks. So
Are you still doing some PT stuff as well?
yeah.
Yep.
But even that at the moment is pretty, like a lot of the. So I had one dude who went in and bought a house. So then he's like, I'll just pull back on the cost of shit for now.
Yep.
One shifted gyms, moved out to Cambridge. So they moved to the Cambridge gym instead.
Ah, the flex there.
Yep.
Yep.
And so I've only got one actually going at the moment, PT.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were just ones that they gave to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking whether or not that was like another avenue, but I feel like I don't know, almost fucking selling myself short with like not looking into that stuff as much anymore. You know, like I used to almost like look into it all the time like I would with either food or psychology stuff now. Whereas I haven't kept up to date with most of the S&C stuff for ages. I mean, the last stuff I looked at was running.
What's S&C like?
Strength and conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm still going based on, you know, what I remember from bodybuilding days and things like that. And I guess the only new stuff that I've kind of learned from the physical side of stuff is fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are you just mainly just running people through basic programs or?
Yeah, well, so most of them already have programs and stuff.
Tailoring them towards what they want.
Yeah, most of them already have programs and stuff. And so it's just actually kind of, more than anything else, it's just actually the accountability of, hey, turn up, let's go through a good workout and provide a little bit more variety on top of what you would normally do every time you come in. So, you know, I just pick up a few different exercises that they wouldn't normally do or help them. Like the dude at the moment wants to improve his bench, and so just doing more like actually having a spotter there for the bench and being able to monitor load rather than necessarily like this is how you bench kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But
that's going all good.
Yeah. It's definitely, as soon as I got back into it, like I realized it wasn't the area that I was interested in as much anymore. Yeah. You know, it's like as soon as I got back on the floor, I was like, oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
This is why I left the floor.
Well, like, you did that for so long, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of those things that started your love for it, and then it's evolved into what you're doing now, right?
Correct. Yeah. Like, I think the good thing is that I can be selective with who and what I work with on that side of things rather than necessarily needing that to be the bread and butter. And so almost just taking on clients for the sake of taking on clients for it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, because I can be a little bit more selective with it, or if people are interested in it, then I can do it. It makes it a bit more worthwhile rather than kind of needing just to be on the floor, literally to be on the floor.
Yeah. Are they sending any more to you or no?
No, which is interesting because I've only got one trainer, I think, at the moment. Yeah.
It's just that economy right now.
Yeah, that's what I reckon.
That's a surplus activity, I think.
It is a luxury.
Yeah, that's a luxury is probably the better way to describe it.
Yeah, and it's just, that's it. People just like, they're just not spending as much on the luxurious items anymore, or they're just picking the things that are, I guess, more important to them right now, which, again, during winter months, health always takes a bit of a back step. Like, most people's health always kind of take a slight back step, but I think it's almost just exacerbated now because of financial stress as well. And so you've kind of got the normal retreat from healthy habits, which is then just being exacerbated further because people are like, well, I don't have the money to participate where I would normally just be sponsoring to participate anyway.
Yeah, like that's a good way to think of it. I also think maybe contributing to it is like lack of vitamin D. You know how like that's so crucial. We should probably actually do a podcast on vitamin D. Like I don't know if you've. I would be leaning on you more for that episode to educate us. You know, like because from what I've seen, and there's a lot of importance to it, and maybe it's a good time to do it because it's that time of year where a lot of people are not actively trying to find that vitamin D, right?
Yeah, well, it's
And
almost impossible at the moment because of...
well, yesterday I didn't see one fucking ray of sunshine, you
it's
know?
nice at the moment. But
Yeah, yeah.
even then, like, to get your vitamin D from the sun, you need almost 80% of your body exposed.
Yeah.
And so just to be able to, like, obviously absorb more through the skin.
Mm.
But you think of what happens at the moment where you go out and you wear a hoodie or you wear track pants. So, like, 80% of your body is actually already covered,
Yeah, yeah.
rather than the opposite. Like during summertime, if you're at the beach or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like it's complete opposite of that. So it's almost near impossible to get that. Plus, the sun is just, it's not as strong at the moment. So even if you're out in the sun, the rays themselves aren't that strong.
Do you supplement vitamin D?
I don't, but I'd say I should.
Yeah, because I think I saw a crazy stat on one of those things. Something like 80% of the world is like not just vitamin D deficient.
Yeah.
It's something like dangerously low levels because of the way we've changed our workforces and like internal, everything's inside and bullpens and it's all artificial light and
That's it.
and
Well,
and there's a lot of countries that just get no sunlight as well, and those
Correct.
are the Caucasian countries.
Yeah. Well, and you think about New Zealand though, even during our summer months, so a lot of the time you can actually store it. So like creatine in a way, like you can get a large amount of exposure, which in theory should be able to do you for the year. So if you get enough exposure during the summer months, you can then kind of just get a little bit during the winter months, and even if you don't get a lot, that'll kind of just slow the rate of depletion that you go through. And so you top up, go down, top up, go down.
Yeah.
But if you get enough, then typically that kind of keeps you high enough so that when it drops down, you don't drop down too low.
Yeah.
But you think about New Zealand, like we have such like bad ozone layer that we can't go out in the sun for too long, otherwise we get burnt.
Yeah.
And if we get burnt, well then we're not in the sun for the next week anyway.
So we're not storing for that hibernation.
Yeah. And then
which is
even
annoying
if we-
because I definitely noticed those days where I just like even though you want to be out in the sun, it's a 5-10 minute activity and you can't. There's no such thing as sunbathing in New Zealand.
Nah, that's what I mean. Like you almost can't.
Mm.
In comparison to say like Spain or Greece over in Europe, like a little bit different climate.
Yeah.
Yeah, in New Zealand it's very hard.
But they always got the sun as well, so they don't
Correct.
really have too much of a lack of
No.
vitamin D
No.
sources around. Like whereas for us, I definitely notice just even the shorter days. Or daylight, like the mood in the country, like everyone's like just the dealings with people. It's just they're really gutted that they're going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark. It's just it's
sitting in artificial light pretty much the whole day.
pretty much, yeah. And then just how much it affects them, and that's why today when I just ate my lunch outside and. Every chance I get when I see the sun out, I always just go and sit out on the deck.
Yep.
But you make probably a good point. I probably should just go out because it's still warm enough. I can go out and sit there with a top.
Yeah.
And then at least I got way more of my skin.
Actually exposed.
And I don't feel the cold as much as Judith does. But like, and the funny thing is, because I'm Māori, I probably have like an ability to. Is there
So the melanin in your skin
can detract vitamin D better or
yeah.
Because I was just guessing, but yeah, and I think of her like I said to her during summer, you need to be like it's almost like a sport. If you want to get tan, because she goes, I can't get tan. I was like, well, because you haven't trained your body into receiving it. You don't actually give it enough time. She goes in like 5 minutes, and I know it's hot and you get burnt, but like you can get that tanning stuff that like it gives you a little bit of sun protection, so it's just a slow roast, you know.
Yeah. Well,
other than that one like period of like there's like a whole month of the year you just like fucking no one's outside.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like that's the problem in New Zealand. Like it's you go outside and you just get burnt. And I think, don't quote me on it. I have to look it up, but I'm not sure if wearing like sunscreen actually detracts from the absorption of vitamin D. I'm not sure, so I don't actually know that.
Just the UV rays instead?
Yeah, well, so whether or not it does both. So whether or not if you're not getting those UVA or UVB, whether or not you're actually getting the vitamin D as well. And so if you're wearing sunblock, does it actually detract the vitamin D that you're able to absorb? I don't know. I'm not.
That's
sure.
what I always wonder with the tanning lotions, because it's like it's got some sort of sun protection. I was like, well, aren't you after the burn?
Yeah, I mean, you're after the rays, but without extreme exposure. And then when you think about like we're out for long periods of time with that exposure, well, it's typically that long period of exposure under a highly intense light. That's what's kind of causing the burn in the first place, like that radiation. But I don't know if that, by having the sunscreen on, does that deter the actual vitamin D absorption that we get to? So like even if you're out in the sun with sun protection, are you not getting vitamin D? I don't know. Yeah,
that's definitely a path down the old conspiracy theorists. Fucking they're fully just against what's it called, sunblock. And I could subscribe to some of it. Like, we've never had sunblock, and then all of a sudden they develop it, and now we've got record highs skin cancer throughout. Like, it's just like, is it because we started using sunblock and then we had moments where we weren't using the sunblock because we got rid of our natural immunity to it? I don't know. Like, whereas I saw someone talking about it, and like studies have shown like, oh, this is, and then the peak, it's like it's ramped up since they brought in, is it the gelatin or whatever, like whatever they use for sunblock, or it was. So they're trying to, like, what is it,
correlation?
Yeah, they try to find the correlations between the two. Like, oh, that got invented here, and then this is when it's all coming. Or
I think that one. So Corby was actually telling me one time there was a program, I think it was on 60 Minutes, where they were comparing the Cancer Society or something, was like comparing different sunscreens, and basically for the majority of the products that they tested, what they said that was on the label wasn't on the label. So it was like the supplement industry. It's like they say it's there, but it's not really there in the first place. And so
it's fucking wild to me, man. Like, honestly,
to me, if you're looking for the correlation, it's like, well, people are spending more time in the sun when sunblock came on because they think they're protected. And so because they think they're protected for longer, one, they're either misusing it, so they're not applying it as frequently as what they should, especially if they're swimming and things like that. But she also said it takes like an hour for it to actually start working on your skin. So I think about how I've used sunscreen for fucking like my whole life. I literally would apply it as I'm sitting in the sun and then sit in the sun. But it doesn't kick in until an hour after that. So then you're still getting burnt for that first hour. Plus within that first hour or after, most people will go for a swim. They wash it off. They don't reapply. And they're out in the sun.
Or they think they're one and done for the day as well.
That's it. Yeah.
That's a good way to think of it, because I definitely, I could see that being a correlation of a problem as well. What's it called? That sense of safety. They think that they've got that safety blanket on them, but realistically
it's not fucking there in the first place. And especially when you've got one, misapplying or misapplication, and so you're not putting it on properly. But then two, you've also got the companies that are like misrepresenting what's actually on the product or how much protection it actually provides. So I mean, you probably got a sandstorm of shit that's going to occur there, and of course, more people getting rates of skin cancer, plus the ozone layer.
And that's what's wild as well. It's just that they can fucking... That's probably one of the worst problems about it, is that they can say that they've got something on it, and
it's up to the consumer to prove them wrong.
How is that? Because I'm pretty sure I heard someone talking about that as well. Like, they can put whatever they want on the label, and then they were saying it, but it's up to the consumer to... I was just like, well, we're not scientists. We don't have laboratories where we can and spend money to test your $3 item. Like your $10, $15 item. You want me to go and get a $200 lab test on one specific, let's say like a set amount of things that they're going to test. So that's only like one section of a thing. Then you probably got to get
one product of. So even within that, you could be like, well, that was just a bad product. Like, there's at least a margin of error in any product that you're going to have at least one out of however many that's going to be bad. So just by testing one doesn't mean it's universal across every product. So even based on that, if you just test one, like you probably have to test 100 of them
Yeah.
to get a decent batch test to be like, oh yeah, this product is faulty.
Yeah.
No one's got the money to do that.
And that's what the corporations count on.
Yeah.
Like there's a few people, and you see it's quite cool, the ones that care, the ones that do like the water testing and all of the stuff, because it's going to their kids.
Yep.
But there's and they're the ones sort of like jumping up and down, but it's just they never get the light shine on them, or it's just sort of like, oh, just shut up, you crazy bastard. Do you want convenience, or do you want, like that's what they're selling. They're like, oh, it's bad for you, but it's convenience.
Which is the same for supplements.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real governing body around most of the supplement industry. And so it's up to the consumer. Like the supplement companies can inherently put whatever they want on the product. And if it's not in there, then yes, by law, they have to change that, and they have to match whatever is on that product label has to be what's in the bottle. But there's no test to make sure what is on the label is in the product in the first place.
Yeah.
And so then you go down, you're like, well, I'm taking this creatine or whatever it ends up being, and it doesn't have what it says that it's got in there. Or I'm taking this pre-workout, and like we're talking about, with Jacked. Like, you end up 10 years down the line, such a good pre-workout, but it's got
amphetamines in it.
Amphetamines in there. Yeah, exactly.
Got the good stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's annoying that, we'll be honest, like our government's allowed that to happen, because everyone goes, oh, like it's up to us to make difference. I was just like, how are we going to make a difference when our guys that are supposed to be looking after us aren't putting in, what do you call it, like parameters for these guys to operate morally, or at least with the consumer's best interest in heart? It's I don't know. Anyway,
again, like it comes back to it. So like it's there, and they can crack down on it.
Yeah.
But and even then, like, it's just like, I guess, any kind of just drug in general, right? Like for every thing that then gets banned, there's another 10 waiting in the lurk to come in to fill its place.
Yeah.
Like you create one rule for it, and then there'll be another product that'll pop up, and it'll be like, this is food-like, which then it's treated like food rather than supplement, or supplement rather than food. And it's like, they'll
it's like that
always find a way.
Ozempic, right? Like it's just like they're bringing in like the pharmaceutical companies that make you sick. With all the because they're all invested in the food companies. It's like, I think there's only 3 companies that own pretty like 80 or 85% of the world's like processed foods.
Right. Oh yeah.
So I think it's 3, like Carnegie or something like that. Carville or and there's like 2 other ones, and like they pretty much all of those pharmaceutical, they're all like intertwined. They all invest into each other's company. Like I don't get how that can be allowed as well. How like, you're allowed to invest in me, which gives me more money, so then I can invest in you. Like there's a lot of double dipping going on. Like the Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street or something like that are like the 3 they own. They own 80% of the world's companies, like in the S&P 500. They're all 3 of them are the top shareholders of pretty much all of the S&P 500. But they also are top owners of each other's companies. So I was like, how does that work? Like, how are you owning all of these companies, and then you're owning
each
like
other's
majority share?
conglomerate.
So you're a majority share of my company, I'm a majority share of your company, and it's just like,
so pretty much they just own everything.
well, I feel like it's just, I'm handing you $1 million so you can hand me $1 million. That's how I see it. I might be stupid, but like that's how I see it. Like it's like that shouldn't be allowed in my head. Like,
like straight playing Monopoly with the whole board.
It's just like, oh, like we've got 3 houses for sale, but like I'll give you 1 house for free, so we don't have to pay taxes, and you give me 1 house for free, and then I'll give this house to I'll give your house to this guy's house for free, and then we don't have to pay any fees. Like it's kind of like that. They're kind of like just handing around free money. Like,
Right.
and do you get what? Do you sort of see what I mean? Like, and when I heard that, I was just like, hold on. Like, I get it. Like these guys have managed their money well, so they can go and buy businesses, and like it's up to those companies to sell them that. But how are these guys that buy businesses buying the other companies that are buying businesses?
Yeah.
Like it's like Then that's where it falls into that infinite money loop in my head, and that's where I go mad.
Yeah.
Like got the money printing out of nowhere. Like
what you were saying with Ozempic, like again, like similar to the sunscreen side of things, like I don't know how much of it is like conspiracy versus how much of it is just like you've got two competing interests, like one on the side of the consumer, like we're in an environment where it's very hard and or we're not motivated to do anything about it. And whether that's lack of needs, psychological needs, whether that's physical needs, financial needs, etc., that's leading towards the obesity problem. And it's probably a combination of all of the above. But then at the same time where you've got, okay, well, we've still got the problem.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to, we can't get them to eat less.
Yeah.
And we can't create a food environment system where that's easy.
Yeah.
Well, then another one is, okay, we can just pop this one in and it'll solve the problem.
Yeah.
And because Ozempic's not new.
Yeah.
Ozempic's been around for ages.
Yeah.
I think they first used it for diabetes and it was just blood sugar control. Whereas...
Yeah, because it's insulin resistance. Like, it controls your insulin resistance.
I think it's through GLP-1, which is basically like I think it's a transmitter in the gut that so when you eat fiber, that breakdown of fiber actually creates GLP-1. So when you're eating fibrous foods, your body actually already produces GLP.
Sure.
It's either an enzyme or something like that anyway.
Yep.
Your body will produce it, which will actually make you feel full.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why part of the reason why you actually get a satiety effect from eating fiber. But it's just giving you that full effect. So it's giving you the enzyme that typically would already come from you breaking down fiber in the first place.
Instead of the hunger hormone getting released. You're satiated the whole time. Yeah, I saw a few videos of guys and they were just like, oh, man, like I couldn't even eat.
Yeah.
Like they lost too much weight. They were like bodybuilders and then they took it and then they were like, shit, I'm losing all my gains because I went from struggling to cut for 2,600 calories down to force feeding 1,600.
Fuck.
You know, like, which is huge calorie deficit. You know, I think he was the dude that I watched. It's that James Smith.
Oh,
yeah. And he was supposed to do it for 4 weeks and he stopped after 2 weeks. He was just like, I'm already shredded. Like, I got way too diced. And he was like, this is good, but it's not good. Like, like he kind of was just like, it's like you don't want to drop weight that quick. Like it's, and he goes, I could see the use case for it for, you know, seriously obese people. Yeah. But like it works too well. And I saw a video, Tucker Carlson, he did an interview with a pharmacology person, and they were just saying how like Ozempic's supposed to be lifelong. It's supposed to it's a life, take it forever. I'm guessing like maybe because if you take that and then sort of maybe like test, like if you take too much test and then you come off it, your body can't naturally produce it anymore. I'm guessing that's what he was meaning like that. And then Tucker was like, "Are you serious?" It was just like, "Yeah, it's supposed to, like it says on their label." And I was just like, how can they even sign people up to?
Well, I think, like, and I mean, you go back to even I don't know if it works like hormones or test or anything like that, but even if you think about if people are taking it, they're not changing their eating habits. Like they're not actively going and looking for fibrous food. Like if they're full already on bugger all calories, they're not looking for extra fiber food, which is going to make them even fuller and with no bang for your buck. Yeah. So it doesn't really change the underlying eating behavior. Like it does while you're on it, but as soon as you come off it, you probably just go back to your old eating behavior.
Yeah, 100%.
And so if you go back to your old eating behavior, well, inherently you're going back to normal instead of if you're taking it, and if it obviously is going to change your eating behavior while you're taking it, but that is only so long as you take it, because that's as long as you're getting the GLP. Yeah. And so as you're no longer getting that GLP, well, you probably just revert back to your previous eating pattern because you're not getting the same satiety effect. And so, it probably would need to be lifelong, and that's purely because you haven't changed your underlying behavior. Yeah. It's just the result gained was based on the drug taken, and so the result sustained needs to be maintained on the drug maintained.
Yeah, and I wonder if it does sort of, stop some of that natural
potentially
rebuilding or whatever, or creating of that.
I think that, from what I know, I think GLP is a byproduct. Yeah. So I think it's like when you break down or when you exercise, your body naturally produces lactic acid,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just the byproduct of it. So you exercise, increase CO2, byproduct of that is lactate.
Yeah.
I think GLP is a byproduct of breaking down fiber.
Yeah.
So as you break down fiber, you release GLP. Like I said, it's just like I think it's an enzyme, but again, I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's just a byproduct of breaking down fiber. So long as you eat fiber, you will still get the GLP, but in no way near the amount that you would normally get if you just popped it in through injection.
Oh, okay.
So it's similar to test in that respect. Like your body does naturally produce test.
Yeah.
And if you put it in, normally if you're taking it exogenously, you're taking more than what your body would naturally actually be able to produce.
Yeah.
The only thing with test is that like hormones, your body will actually just shut down.
Yeah.
So if you're getting it exogenously, it won't need to produce it.
Yeah.
But I think GLP is different in that it's only then produced because you're eating fiber.
Oh, okay.
Rather than your body will just produce it.
Yeah.
So I think so long as you continue eating fiber, you'll still be able to.
Yeah.
Because it ends up just being like a downstream byproduct of eating that type of food.
So then what hunger hormone is getting released for like carnivore diets then? If there's no fiber, there's no fiber in the carnivore diet, is it?
No. Well, so hunger hormone is different to GLP. GLP is just a byproduct of fiber.
And then that can be acting as
leptin and ghrelin are the two main metabolic hormones. So ghrelin in particular is the hunger one.
Yeah.
Leptin is the metabolic one.
Yeah.
So those two are different.
So those two will be fine on the carnivore diet.
Yeah. If anything, you'll get increased satiety based on protein.
Yeah.
So protein will increase satiety, but not through GLP-1.
Yeah.
From my understanding.
Yeah.
And that's because GLP-1, which is what Ozempic is based on, is through the breakdown of fiber in the gut itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So similar byproduct or end result, but from different pathways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's like building muscle from barbells versus kettlebell.
Yeah.
Like you get the same product, but it was a different training style in order to get there.
Yeah. That is interesting though. Like I always wonder with those. Yeah, I always hear those. I guess those sound bites or the explanations and how my microbiome and all of this and my circadian rhythm like all of these things that are just like plastered all throughout social media at the moment. Like everyone's just on their own. It's weird. Like we're in this expert world, and it's just like God.
It's too much. Like
it is, man. It's almost like giving a kid too much options, right? Like it's kind of you're complicating this like the science of it. And that's why I think I kind of like James Clear. He kind of goes, but it's just like you know how to look after yourself. You don't need to confuse you. You don't need to add in all of these science points, these data points. It's like, are you exercising enough? Are you eating healthy enough?
Yep.
You know, you don't need to go over the board and just eat nothing but healthy. You know,
there is science to back up anything. Like if you have a position, you'll be able to find a paper, or if you're doing your own paper, you'll be able to manipulate numbers enough to find the response that you want. Like proper science it's almost looking at it objectively. So most people don't have the objective or objectivity. They're completely like biased in what they're looking for. So if they like meat, they're going to look for information out there that's going to confirm that the carnivore diet is healthful.
Yeah.
They're not going to look for that vegan is healthful. They'll look for information that the vegan diet is unhealthful. And so we already have this confirmation bias going into looking for things.
Yeah.
Whereas now you've got basically people that are willing, most of them are book sales.
Yeah.
Like, and the diet book space is horrendous to begin with. Like before podcasting came around, it was already bad. Like no one would buy diet books because you knew that it was just full of bullshit.
Yeah. And
essentially you've just got like all these book sales kind of going in and selling these, they're inflammatory kind of methods to achieve a result.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that they don't work, because they do, but it misses the point.
Yeah.
It's like everyone needs to do this one thing that worked for me based on my situation. And then it's like, but your hormones are fucked.
Yeah.
So that solves your problem.
Yeah, I always find it interesting from your sides of things. Like it's or more probably frustrating because like you're saying, it's not just a one trick fixes all the problems. You know, like it's not a one. What's the saying? The one from
Trick pony,
like a
one shoe fit, one.
yeah, one
Yeah,
shoe
yeah, I
fits.
know what you mean.
Yeah, like yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I always think about it like from you because you're in the space and then you're also navigating and you're kind of trying to figure out ways to help these guys, and then you also got to kind of try and you think about the psychology side of things. You also are trying to think about, all right, how can I pierce their mind or convince them how to properly look after their health when they're sort of going down like all these different rabbit holes, when really you kind of need them to circle back to like, mate, you're worrying about your fucking fluoride, for example, when you're not even like, we talked about it with me with my filter, like, well, you're not really addressing all the other health issues that you've got going on.
There's so much more low-hanging fruit that you could pick from, and you're trying to get the thing right at the top of the tree that might be like that fraction sweeter.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like...
That's for the person who's trying to dial in extra.
And they've already picked everything from the bottom.
Yep.
If you've picked everything from the bottom and you're making your way up the tree, go for it.
Yeah.
And if you've tried everything and you're looking, who's that dude that's spending millions or billions on?
Oh, the guy
Brian
that
Johnson?
sold. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Your uncle.
Yeah. Yeah, Unc, and he's
fucking share some coin, Unc. I'll take some of those stem cells too, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but
Hook us up.
I believe it though. Like he looks like he's not getting younger, but he's staying the same age. He's been doing it for the last 4 or 5 years, and he's in shape. Like
yeah. Well, and I mean, like, so
he's a nuthead though, but
complete nutcase.
Yeah.
But you've got that, and I think there was another one.
He's bored, bro.
Too much money.
Too much money, and he's bored. But like, I get it. Like you want to live like longer, but
yeah, that's a whole other fucking debate.
Yeah. He's the extreme, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But like, and you have that type of person who's literally trying to pluck everything from the tree and has the means to do so. By all means, go for it. But like for most people that I've seen, and even for myself, there are so many low-hanging fruits. And I would even say probably for him too. Like, I bet you when you pull off the cover of his YouTube channel, there is a mountain of low-hanging fruit that he could still pick that he's not. And,
what do you mean? Just like just getting some other content out of his...
Well, I think it's just all for show.
Yeah.
Like, I would say when the camera's not rolling, the dude probably has something.
A chocolate bar.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not all like that. He's human. Well,
I wonder though. I wonder with those people. Like,
I don't know.
And that's the thing is we won't ever know, because I always think of Matt Fraser.
Yeah.
Like how you were talking about like the guy that's climbing the tree, pulling all those little all the low hanging fruits and climbing up. He's that guy. He was obsessed with it, and then went fully into it, and then he goes, I'm not in it yet. Yeah. And then he fully goes like, stays in his basement all year
even
round.
Further,
he went even further. All the sleep chamber, the red lights, and he kept going more and more. But fuck, the dude didn't lose, man. Like, and he was far from touched as well. And that's why I wonder. Like, I was like, oh, these guys, there are always. I won't even like the dedicated, and
I haven't found one person that's like that with food.
Yeah.
And I mean, someone can fucking come at me and show me who it is. But so even Fraser, like when it came to his food, like he was pretty renowned for enjoying the finer things of life still. Like, I'm pretty sure it was him that was Snickers bars and everything during the CrossFit Games. Like, and it wasn't like that was an easy way for him to get in calories.
Yeah. Because he's just burning so much.
He's burning so much. Yeah. But he could also do it better.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's still some things that, but he did it for so long, it worked for him that it didn't really matter. Like, he was able to control everything else to a point where that actually wasn't, like, he probably could have been better for as good as he was. And
I reckon if he had someone close to him, he would have probably been having like the dark chocolate, or you know what I mean, the other easy calories in versus like. But I think just like like you're saying,
so
he was that far ahead, And because of all the other stuff, all the other fruits that he picked all the way up to the top, I reckon he just literally was like, I have a little bit of room for margin of error, you know, whereas, I know what you're saying. Like it's,
and that's
with
what
the
I
diet,
mean with
it's,
the obesity side too, because it's the same side of the coin. Like we're in a food environment now where that shit is available.
Yep.
And if we work, and even if we don't work half the time, we still have the financial means to afford it. And if so, it's actually easier and more affordable sometimes, or perceptually more affordable, to eat that than what it is to optimize your diet. And even there, we're kind of fighting this kind of dopaminergic system of go for what feels good.
Yeah.
I haven't found one person yet that's dialed in like that.
Yeah.
With food.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like that's probably actually it will lead on to the topic that we're talking about. I'm struggling with that, you know.
Yeah.
So shall we start?
Let's.